Pixar film Elio, a movie that depending on which trailer you watched has a different plotline, is coming out in 1 week. So compared to the Lilo and Stitch remake, which doubled its budget just in marketing so you wouldn't go 2 seconds without seeing an ad, why are we getting nothing? Disney has had a long history of dropping the ball on marketing for their original movies. There's countless examples of Pixar and Disney films that were thrown into the box office with no warning before being banished to the shadow realms of Disney+. But why would the largest entertainment company in the world sabotage their own product? While Disney has always wanted one thing: control. And if you want to feel in control, subscribe right now. Or wait till the end and subscribe. Thanks. It's interesting when you look back and see Disney has had a hand in way more than you think, from their lesser known, more mature studios, Touchstone, where they released PG-13 and R-rated films, and their horror studio Dimension, all the way to their more well-known acquisitions of Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. However, with all this, the most important thing isn't about controlling the media itself, it's about controlling the narrative. For the longest time, Disney purposefully left their branding out of all these films. It made sense for them to have deniability and distance in case it was a more racier or mature film, or worst of all, a box office flop. They couldn't just have any movie sullying the Disney name, but this also goes both ways for Pixar and Star Wars, or even Marvel. Without having the original Disney logo in front of the movie, you don't immediately know it's a Disney production, so you can kind of distance yourself from them ruining the franchise or any fears you had of them ruining the franchise, which they did eventually.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But in more recent years, we've seen a particular shift from not just hiding their association, but willingly compromising their marketing campaigns for their biggest projects. Elio is the most recent example, but you can even look at Ironheart, the Marvel show that, if you didn't know, was coming out 4 days after Elio. And it's crazier because the only reason I know this show even exists is because people have been complaining that there's not just little marketing out there, but almost none at all.
This show releases next month and has had almost no promotion and still no official trailer.
This especially stings when you look at the live-action Lilo and Stitch, which went insano style with their promotion for this film, from endless ads and memes to Stitch going TikTok live.
One gorilla, yeah. Stitch hang with gorilla, have banana and fun, yeah. Yeah, strong, yeah. Very nice animal.
Disney only ever trusts their pre-established brands to make a return on their investment. But that's not how you grow as a company. It's how you die.
And death.
If they continue to only push cheap and uninspired remakes of classic films, they're going to end up with nothing left to make. Meanwhile, all the true creatives at Disney who have a story to tell, who put out originals during this time, are already starting at the bottom, instead of using the power of the biggest company in the world to help make them more successful. This is why everyone's having the realization now that, oh, Luca and Soul are actually amazing films, and they did not get enough appreciation when they came out. And of course, you could blame the pandemic, since these movies came out during that time, but when everyone's on their phones 24/7, isn't that kind of Disney's fault for not marketing when it's the easiest way to market ever? Just put stuff out. People are going to see it. They're not doing anything else. Even to this day, there's no Soul or Luca merchandise in the parks, and that just hurts me on a personal level. I will give them credit for Elemental, as there were more ads than normal for this movie, but when the initial box office was abysmal, they probably thought that's it. Original movies are toast, especially when Inside Out 2, their next movie, blew the doors off of their return. Despite them giving up on Elemental, word of mouth and praise eventually led to the global box office returning double the budget at $400 million. So this proves that people do want originals. They just don't know what they're about until they're already released. That's your fault. The problem is Disney is conflating the success of these sequels and franchises as a pat on the back that they're doing the right thing, focusing on established brands, when they don't realize the reason it's successful is because of the risk they took on the original years prior. Alright, but this is common sense. When you market something, it does better. So then I guess the real question becomes, why does Disney not do this? Realistically, there's a few reasons, but I think the most likely, in my opinion, is if they spend less on marketing, then if it flops, they don't lose as much. But I also think, just like the movie studios they owned but never put their name on directly, it's about saving the brand from controversy. Now, you could say the failure to market Strange World, Disney's sci-fi adventure film, could be because Lightyear bombed at the box office and they thought audiences just didn't want sci-fi. But now that we got through the bullshit answers, it's because there was a gay character.
And they're both boys.
Strange World had one of the first openly gay characters who had a crush on another boy. That's it. When Lightyear came out right before Strange World, it was banned in 14 countries for the same-sex kiss that happened between two characters. So when it came to Strange World, Disney didn't even attempt to submit the film to a bunch of anti-LGBT countries like China and Russia, which for Disney is their biggest markets. Now personally, I'm not saying this is the best story and film they put out, but it pisses me off when people say it was a box office flop and a terrible movie when it never even had the chance. Now I don't think the right thing to do is stop representing these communities in films, which we've already heard rumors about them doing in Inside Out 2, changing the tone of the scenes so Riley didn't seem like she was interested in another girl.
Scary, I know.
But it makes sense why they do it because they want to get the most money. And when it lacks this universal reception, it directly affects their marketing campaigns. However, it's not just any movie with a controversial topic that is being kicked to the curb, it's every Disney original. So that brings me all the way back to our main topic, what's going on with Elio? Pixar has been stumbling ever since the pandemic. When they tried to come back to theaters with Lightyear and Elemental, it took a while to see any substantial returns. With mounting pressure to make more movies and make more money, there were doubts if Pixar could ever be what it once was. No, further back. Further. There we go. Elio was originally slated to come out in March 2024, over a year ago. But something happened behind the scenes where they decided this story needs major rewrites and a whole creative overhaul. The original director left the project, and Disney turned an already expensive animated film into one of the most expensive Pixar films of all time. $400 million in production, before marketing. Now for some context, most Pixar movies roughly range from $150 to $200, and this is already double that. But this shift in tone is nowhere more obvious than the original versus the most recent trailer. The first trailer before the rewrites had a darker and more somber sci-fi tone, highlighting the emotional distance between Elio and his working mom, while the most recent one feels like a completely different movie about a quirky and fun space adventure. But with a budget this massive, this needs to be a critical success, or else it's going to prove the false narrative they already believe. The only films worth making have pre-established fans, massive franchises, and sequels. Money may not directly correlate to a good movie. Example A being the live action Lilo and Stitch, which is doing insane right now, probably going to make $1 billion in the box office. But it does matter for the people that puppeteer and control the hardworking and creative talents at Disney. Disney is afraid to take the risk at marketing an original story that's coming out in less than a week, but will happily start marketing Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, Incredibles 3, and even more live-action remakes we didn't ask for years before they're even finished.
Gone! It's all gone.
If this monopoly and fear of something new continues, it won't be long before you try to go to the movie theater to see a new Disney movie, and there's nothing left. But thank you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts down below if you think Disney is dropping the ball on their marketing, especially for their original projects, and are you going to go see Elio? But if you haven't already, subscribe right now. Go watch my other videos. I've been putting out a lot, trying to be consistent. And thank you guys for 2,000 subscribers. And as always, thanks for watching.